Hello and welcome back to the second of our videos in our Porch Goose series. This is already so fun. So this week, because it's Easter week, I thought that maybe we would do this one where your porch goose is dressed up like a bunny. If you feel like, if you're gonna do this whole series, I think you should name your porch goose. I mean, I feel like that's how it works. If people get porch gooses, a porch goose, and they set them on their front porch. And the porch goose has a name and then wears different costumes. So same goose every week, right? So I guess I should name mine. I'm gonna have to think about that. But it's Easter week. So we've got one dressed up like a bunny with a little Easter basket. Now that I think about it, it'd be cute if there's some Easter eggs or something here. Anyways, this is what we're painting this week. And if you don't already have a template, you might want to just print that out. It's a free printable, and I'll make sure that that is linked below. And yeah, let's just make sure we got a comfy space. I'm going to light a candle real quick, and then I will turn the camera around and we can go through our supplies, make sure we all have a nice, lovely little setup. Got it. So here we go. All right, I'm going to go through our supplies somewhat quickly today. If you don't have the printable yet, it gives you one goose in either direction. You get 3 little gift tags that you can print out, and it gives you a little quote. So it's kind of a fun one if you wanted to do that. We're using a piece of 4.5 inch by 5.5 inch paper or anything similar. That's totally up to you. And we're going to need some watercolor paints. So I've got my set here. All of these supplies are linked below. This is a size 10 round watercolor brush, which I'll use for the whole thing. And then I like to have just like a regular pencil and a kneaded eraser. So I've got those. And you're gonna need some kind of water. Here's my water for today. It's not filled too high. It's maybe, let's see, 2.5 inches or so. And then I like to use a towel instead of paper towel. So I've got that here as well. If you have an old hair dryer or a little heat tool like this, we'll use that just to speed up the process a little bit. This is a little spray bottle for your paints. I feel like I went through a lot of things just now. This is an ultra fine point Sharpie, but you can always use like a micron pen or a felt tip pen, anything like that you want to use, because we'll work on top of dry watercolor paint. So it won't matter too much because of that. And let's see, I think that's all of our supplies. So for now, I'm going to move, look at this is my desk goose. Move all my stuff out of the way, including her. And we'll get out just our pencil and our eraser. We will need our template. And actually, we're going to start with observing before we even get to that. So let me adjust my lights for you a little bit. Okay. Skinny paper, because this is how I was gonna do it, but they don't fit that great. So we went with a wider paper, and I'll take my for Easter week note off of here for you. And we'll just do some observing for a minute. So I did change the shape of the goose from this one to the one on the right, so we could use our template for the whole thing. So we will be using the template, and the goose is kind of adorable. She's dressed up like a bunny. And so she is wearing a shirt, an apron, she has ears on, and she has a basket. You'll just notice between the two of them that I changed colors, but you can do anything that you want for that. And I am going to switch to just focusing on this one so we can observe just one together. But you can see, let's see, she's got her fluffy tail, and we have some shading in there, some gray here, some underneath of her neck, like on her neck here as well, and little bits throughout. So we'll get some of that shading in onto our goose itself, and we'll draw all of this together before we even begin. I do like that she once again has the strap around, like under her neck, holding her bunny ears on. And if we want to, you know, I don't know, we can do some eggs or something. This will be optional. Maybe I just won't do it, but you can add some if you wanted to, like this, and then color those in, and that would be very cute. As far as observations go otherwise, I guess we'll just notice that she's got arms. So those are like fakey arms that would come on the costume. Okay, so that's not actually part of, this would be like the statue, right? So it's pretty cute though, because I think she's fooling me. Like, she looks like she's got some arms. And we got our shadow over here. This time we're facing to the right. And we didn't do too much with like within painting. It's more about drawing and filling in a little bit this time. But if you do look at her apron and you see that we've got the light pink, we've got all of this other color, which is like a grayed out kind of pink, just to give a little bit of dimension, and it's in the ears as well. And you'll notice it's subtle, but like it works, it's effective. So this is where we're going, and we will go ahead and get started. So we'll grab our paper, our pencil, and this time if you just have one, just turn it over and use the back, but otherwise we'll take our little template, and I'm going to put her pretty low to the ground because remember what we're trying to make sure we account for is the bunny ears. They really add height to the template, and I think if her feet are pretty much in the center, I think we're good to go because we're not really expanding beyond that. So yeah, I think I like that just like that. So we'll take our template, and everything we do with our pencil is always going to be pressing really light on our pencil so we can erase easily. So I'm holding it down with my non-drawing hand, and then I'll just lightly just trace around the outside. Try to keep it close because otherwise you're going to change the shape and make everything a little bit wider. So we're just tracing her. Make sure you hold it all in place. If templates move, they're just so annoying, aren't they? And we don't want to be annoyed today. All right, I think I got the whole thing. I'll lift it up and find out. And then we just have a few lines to fill in. So we're gonna find where we want this line to be on the beak, and it's somewhere around here. It's just light. In fact, I think it should go up. Look at that, I turned it without even realizing. And like we know we might see this later and change it. Also, because we had to go around the beak and mine isn't cut as close, I think I'm going to just tighten up the beak just a hair. So if you want to do that because yours looks like pretty big, maybe just bring that in just a tiny bit. All right, and then when we get down here, we're going to just put these front lines of her front leg in. So we're just following this straight up, just connecting that one. And this one comes in a little bit and down. And then just this kind of little jagged line, just to look sort of like that is maybe feathers covering her leg. Okay? We are now done with our template. Toss it aside. And we're going to begin. So I thought in order to kind of keep this simplified, I am trying, because I was doing it and I kind of just work all around. I want to try to keep it easier for you. So I thought if we start with just the apron, that might be helpful. And so I'm going to try to do that. But if we need any other lines in, we'll pop them in because, you know, rules aren't helpful if they're not helpful. Am I right? So let's go ahead, and I already want to put that shirt on there though. Wait for it. Okay, we're putting the shirt in. And here's why. I want to make sure we keep enough of her neck. And I feel like we need this line right here. And then we also need this line down here. So we're going to give it a little bit of space. I probably could put like my finger here. See that? Do it here as well. And you can even, let's not even put the shirt. Just put a line there for the shirt. All right, and we'll come down a little further. Look at that. Basically another finger. How perfect is that? And we're going to put this line. Now, we're just going to stick a line in for now because you might not know which direction. I will tell you that one thing kind of helpful is if you can make sense of where the front of the goose is. So see this line of her shirt and sort of the center of her apron. If you were to follow these, I'm just going to draw them on. They maybe would go like, I don't know, maybe a little bit forward. But if you can try to make sense of where the front of her body would be, yeah, maybe more like that. Then that's going to be the center of her shirt, kind of the center of her apron, okay? So that's just you playing around for a minute, no big deal. But we are going to take the apron over to the right, okay? And let's find where we want it to point, maybe here. We're going to need to get her wing in too, so we're basically doing the apron, but stick with me. All these things are going to feel super wonky to start, and then it's going to get better. Let's put the bottom in because that's going to give us a good guideline. If we look, we definitely want to keep like the bottom of the goose in sight. If I put my pencil down, we got like a good 1.5 pencils before we would get to it. So I'm going to kind of go here and put a line. Now I'm sort of following this line of her, the bottom of her, and using that, and then around here we'll tip the other direction. So going like this first, everybody pressing lightly, because we all know we might adjust every single line. We just might, you know? And I'm going to straighten it out a little bit and come here. I went beyond, so look at this. This is where her body was. I'm going to come out almost a full pencil width over, like this, for now. Okay, and if that's the bottom, and we were to come up, I'll just show you with my pencil. I think we got 2 pencils, 1, 2. So you can go 1, 2, and then you're eyeballing it, and then hold on to that with your eyes a little bit, and then you're going to get it in. This is giving us really good guides for placement. It's all going to start coming together. So let's just real lightly, because we know we'll be erasing this. Let's take the corner of the apron down like that. And we know that the wing is going to go over that in just a moment. I right away brought my corner in when I did that because it didn't make sense the way I had it. So look for what your brain is telling you makes sense, which can be tricky, I know. I already love what we've got here. Let's get her straps on if we can. So that's just the top of her apron. I turn that into a box. And maybe we go here as well just to start. And then notice, we really need to make it look like it's going around her. So it needs to curve out a little, curve a little bit here. So you can maybe put a straight line like this. Can you see that little line? Let me zoom in a little bit for you. And like this way, this outward curve. Okay, and then right here, I don't think this is really quite right. It doesn't have to be. This is not an actual goose who's going to be mad at us. Do you know what I'm saying? We're okay. Cute. Look at this. So what I did is these lines, nothing is perfectly vertical or perfectly straight. They're curving out and away a little bit, and they need to look like they're going around her little goose neck. Okay, and now let's erase these lines where there was the overlap. We don't want to see it as a square anymore. I want it to make it look like a piece of fabric laying over. And it does, so it's perfect. Okay, I'm going to just start giving some things that are easy because they're going to give us visual cues. So look at her cutie little bunny tail. It fits within the apron from top to bottom, right? Top to bottom. And it is nice and fluffy. So play with that. This is just back and forth fluff. If you don't like it, you'll change it, okay? Nice and loose with your hand though. Don't be worrying too much. Just kind of bloop, bloop, bloop. Some loops in there. We'll move it if we want. From here, I definitely know where her wing's gonna start. See this? It's sort of centered between here and this strap. So I could put a line like this. And if anything, it's curving this way. Okay. And I think that I kind of want us to give this apron side a little something first, but we're going to be erasing some of it. So press lightly. I think if you come up this way, that's going to maybe help it make sense. All right. But we have a lot going on because we have apron, wing, wing, basket. Let's save basket for last. And let's try to give the back wing in there first, I think. So I'm curving this in and coming. So I just gave it an apron for a second. We'll move that if we want. Bringing the wing out and then down and in. Out. And then it's going to end maybe here. Put a little dot. I think I want to bring this down a little further. So I'm going to real quick. So see these little adjustments? If you just go, that seems not right. Just give her an adjustment. This is already stacking up. You're already making a ton of progress, even though I know it feels a little weird. Okay, coming down like this. I don't know, but I might move it. I got to get this big one in to figure that out. So let's put it on. We want it to overlap that wing. So I got a dot. From here, I know it's pretty much straight and then curves over to the right. Oops. Pretty much straight, curves over to the right a little bit. The bottom part, I notice, kind of comes down and wide. And then as it gets closer to this, it sort of curves, like curvy, curvy, curvy towards the bottom. And now I want to erase the lines that go through that wing because I think it's going to help us make a little more sense of things. All right, so now put back if you erased anything else on accident. All right, this is going so good. You're going to look and see real quick, is there anything weird? So you have to look at yours because all of us are looking at something a little different right now. And I'm just getting rid of any extra lines that are not serving us right now. Pretty cute. This is a little wider, but like that doesn't matter as long as it kind of makes sense. Okay, we're pretty far. I feel like let's just get the basket in while we're here. So let's look at this. If we could match it, great. If we can't, we won't. But see how the apron comes out and comes up a little bit. I like seeing that corner of it before the basket. Out, up a little bit. Nope, it's not going to make sense with how I have it, but if I curved that line back a little bit, then it would. Okay, so then think about this like just a square. But you could curve that bottom if you wanted to. Great. If you don't want the shape, change it. If you want it bigger, change it. Doesn't matter too much. I left it kind of like, just kind of like not a real big focus in here. But we've got this part so far. Now we need a little loop over. We want to see this wing in front and the other wing behind. So coming up like a little rainbow, top to bottom. And you can put the whole thing and then erase the lines that you don't want to see. So this basket handle will cover the back wing. Cutie cute, right? Okay, I like it. I just did a little zigzag, like rickrack in the middle. So if you want to find somewhere near center and just kind of go zig up, down, try for the same size, up, down, whatever it is. And then we'll do that little aura underneath. Just following along, just like that. If you don't like this and you want to do polka dots, stripes, the sky is the limit. Okay, I really like this. She's fatter over here, kind of, but like that's real cute. So I'm leaving it. Okay, I think we just need to do the pocket, the shirt, and the ears. So let's do the pocket first. And you see this line should just sort of follow maybe along. Use a guide of like either this part or the bottom, which my bottom's weird. So I'm gonna just kind of clean that up a little. And I'll stick it right here. Just a pocket. Don't worry too much about it. Some simple shape right there. It just kind of helps the story. Makes everything make sense. And then the shirt I think is so cute. You can do a neckline any way you want. But look, she's kind of fancy pants, isn't she? So it's coming like it'd be going around the back. Like think about this like, you know, a circular or like an oval shape, right? Because we know it's a 3D object. And then this dip right here is just like kind of where that center line is. So the dip would need to be kind of like this. And then you're gonna, let's see. I came up and around over here. And we'll just curve it, like just some curvy lines down to it. I would say don't overthink it too much, but if you look at it and you're like, that is for sure weird, then trust your gut and make some little changes. I would say let's not emphasize these edges too much because it is tricky with the like apron right there too. Good enough for me. I'm liking it. I say let's put the eyeball in there. You're kind of guessing, but you're looking here for it. Oh yeah, there's one on your template too, so you can look at that one. And then we'll get the ears on here. I really do simplify ears. I really do. So if this is our head shape, something like this, doesn't that somehow look like an emu or something instead? Then I'm just gonna do like, they're coming kind of like out of this area. And I'm gonna come with one, kind of up, curve it over. I like wider on top, tighter at bottom. And then I do another one of those like on this side of it. Like it's all over here, right? All the extra is on that side. I'm not sure why we did it over there first, but we did. This neck looks wide to me, so I'm actually going to just bring it in a little bit before we even get any further. Do the same with yours. Just look at what you got. And then let's get those ears up top. So once again, kind of living within this space. And maybe like this. Just skinnier at the bottom, wider at the top, and a bit of a straight line up here. And then another one over here. And I just stick that same shape basically on the bottom right. You can do this any way you would like. You guys come up with the cutest stuff. And then I really think though, like this isn't it. This with the strap around the neck, that's it for me. So I'm gonna come over and around, follow that line, and then see I kind of brought it together right here. Okay, you're gonna start looking at it and going, which part is weird? Which part needs some changes? Because this was quite the little sketch, wasn't it? Okay, something like this, wavy neck. The neck could just be straight if you wanted it to be. Does not matter. I'm not gonna draw the shadow, but it's there. And if you wanna put eggs in, get them in. I will bring just the bottom of her head up a little bit with this little line. How you feeling? Are you feeling good? I think we're there. Let me just look at this one too. Make sure we're not missing anything. I think we're good. So now we can move our pencil and our eraser out of the way, clean up while you work. And we are going to mix up our colors. So you can use any that you want. I'm in my pastel colors today for sure. And I just liked how we've got a cool color with the green and a warm color with the pink. So I liked this balance. This is also very sweet. Let's decide really quick. I think I'll do the purple because I think that'll be fun. Why not? Let's take our spray bottle. We'll spray our paints. So we're spraying the whole right side, which is what we'll call paints. And then this left side is where we're going to create our puddles. We don't need too many colors on this, so it should be a little bit simple. The first thing is I'm going to dip my brush into my water, and I want to get some gray for the shadowing on the goose and also for the shadow that will be like on the ground. So I'm going to take a wet paintbrush and grab some black, which for me is in the top corner. Just look at what you got. And I'm going to add water. So when we want a light gray, it's a little bit of black, a lot bit of water, because otherwise it's just going to be really dark. We do not want it to be too dark. So if you find later on that it's too dark, add water to that one, lighten it up. That's probably too dark anyways. I'll probably use like this up here. I don't know how well you can see that. And if it's too dark from here, I'll lighten it up again. So some little puddles of gray. And then let's get into our orange first. I am going to use just like a nice basic orange. I'm grabbing some with a wet paintbrush and turning it into a puddle over here. And honestly, that's probably good enough. If I wanted to just play with that orange while I'm in it, I could add a darker orange or just more of this concentrated paint into it to give some dimension on those feet. We got our orange. Let's get into our pink next. Pink is red plus water, or on this palette, it's the one on the top left is a really lovely pink. But I have been liking experimenting with coming up with my own by grabbing any red and adding water, because I think you're going to learn more colors on your palette. So I think that's a really cute color. I ended up using the fourth one down, which is called Carmine on here on this set. It's kind of like a nice standard bright red. And then I'm going to get something for purple. Notice for the purple, I did light purple for the shirt, and then I just got like a more concentrated paint in there for the basket, or just to make it a little darker. So I'll dip my brush into my water. I'm going to grab some of that purple paint and I'm going to start a puddle. I'm going to remind you that with watercolors, if your color is too dark, you need to add water, but first clean the pigment out of your brush. So pressing into the bottom of your jar, and then I'll add water to that. Now I like that a lot better. I could have kept that as the puddle for the bag, but I wanted to show you a trick. So now I'll just make a darker puddle right here. And you know, you can use any colors you want. I'm just adding some blue to that just for fun. Change it up slightly. Because you're the boss and you can do anything you want. I think we're ready, you guys. Okay. I needed a little drink of my Diet Dr. Pepper. Here we go. We're going to move our paints a little bit out of the way. I mean, close enough to use, but I have purple, but I'm going to put this one here because it's the exact same size. Okay, I don't know what the last thing I said was, but my son is home because it's spring break and he's making cookies. So he had to ask me questions, and that is important because cookies. So let's go ahead. We've got this already. I want to start with that light gray that we made up. So you're going to take your paintbrush. Let's start with a clean brush. I dried it. I'm going to put the first third of my brush into that puddle. That way I kind of know what I'm starting with, and I should have some control. So I'm going to start by just laying some of that down right on this right side, and every one of us right now should be looking at, is this color right? Because gray can be tricky. You add too much and it looks dirty, not enough, and you can barely see it. So I added a little bit of that. I'm going to do some under that little fluffy bunny tail and do kind of an organic shape here so it looks fluffy. Like, see that? Something like that. And then I'll do down here a little bit just to look like feathers. Don't overthink it. Just a little bit of gray here is okay. A little bit. Just realized I'm going too fast for you. A little bit right here under this front part of the apron. We're almost done. We got 2 more spots. The top of this wing. And then just on the inside of this one. That's where I decided to put it. If you have another spot, we're all just kind of going, where might there be a shadow? And that's how we're figuring that one out. Okay, love it so far. I think it's great. Let's wait on this shadow. And let's see, is it touching? Let's everybody give it a quick dry. I don't want your colors to bleed because otherwise you might get like pink into your tail. So a quick dry. She's already so cute. So I think my ears are funny. I think they're maybe weird looking. I can't tell. Isn't that funny? Sometimes you just can't tell. These are cute because they're more separated. Okay. Make sure you like them before you paint them. We're going to get into the pink. And I think let's go ahead. We'll just do 1 layer of pink on both. Then we're going to mix up the color that has a little bit of gray in it and work on top of it. So grabbing a little bit of the pink, we're going to just do the apron. So using the tip of your brush along the edges and leaning into the belly of your brush when you are in the bigger sections so we can fill it in quickly. Pretty much in everything we do with watercolor, you want it to dry. You want it to dry as one solid shape because we don't want it to look like just like tiny marks everywhere and they're just drying as you go. Do you know what I mean? It's like none of us really like that. My whole thing, you're not going to believe this. I'm so, what's the word? I'm going to darken the whole thing. Unprofessional. That's what I was going to say. I just darkened the whole thing. So the whole thing was still wet and I could just kind of go right over the whole thing because I was like, I don't think you can see that pink enough. So now I cleaned my brush, dried it on my towel, and I'm going to lift up any spots where there's just puddling or pooling, first of all. Now this can start to dry and that's fine. And we're going to take our pink, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab my pink and I'm going to grab a little bit of this gray and add them together over here until I find a nice light color still that's kind of a pinkish gray. All right. Okay. And I'm going to let this dry a tiny bit. Let's see. You decide, do you want to see hard lines on top? If you want to see these lines like that hard, this will be dry underneath. If you want to see a nice blend between, it can be wet. And since both of those are fully great ideas, I think let's start. And we are all going to be adjusting our color as needed because I darkened mine up. Oh, look at that. That's working. So you may take a quick picture of it on your phone because then you can see. That's always good for perspective because you can just see it differently. So I'm adding this color right in while it's wet. I was gonna do the ears at the same time and apparently I just did not. So I went under the wing, over on this like right in front of her belly, right, kind of hidden by the basket, and this part as well. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna quick paint her inside of her ears so I can be working on both. And I feel like we might need to let it dry, so we're always observing, you know? And I think when I did this one, it must have been a little bit less. So I'm gonna just dry it on camera. Plug your ears if you need to. So because mine was pretty wet, it pretty much just blended. It didn't really stay where I wanted it to enough. So now I'm gonna make sure that puddle is still how I showed you. And now that it's dry, I'll work on top and we will see it differently. Okay, so I'm just going right over it. And underneath. And now I am gonna leave that hard line a little bit because I wanna know where I put my paint, and I want it to kind of look obvious to other people as well that I did a shadow. So you see where I'm going? Kind of top of the apron, under the wing, kind of a V over here. I did the bottom, side of the pocket. Maybe a little bit down here, but not much. And I'm gonna leave it. I don't wanna do this. I think it's too tiny. It'll look messy. And then I'm gonna get kind of stay on that right side, on the inside of the ears. If you have a different way to do it, 100% do your way, because you just gotta keep trusting your gut when you do art. And it's coming along. I think I just need to see that orange in there. So let's get the orange in. I'm cleaning my brush out. And I've got my orange paint, and I'm just gonna fill in. We really are kind of just doing this coloring book style, but anytime you are painting and you have wet paint, you can always load in another color when you're painting with watercolors. So I am kind of coloring book style, filling them in, and then if I wanted to, I could clean my brush and dry it and just kind of darken up my puddle, not really adding water. And I might add a little bit, just a little bit on the bottom of the beak, and maybe on the back side of the legs, the bottom of the feet. I'm just guessing, and that's what you'll do too. And then if you don't like it, you can always clean and dry your brush and use the tip of that damp brush to soften up any hard lines. Oh, I needed to see that orange. I think it's looking better. Okay, how are you doing? Let's get into our shirt color, and that for me, that's purple. So I'm gonna get that nice light color, and this is, I like to call it coloring book style because I feel like we all know what it means. It just means get the color in the shape, and that's all we're looking for. Cute. Cute. It doesn't need much, just needs some color. If you put it in there and you're like, ah, it's not dark enough, I can't see it, you can always darken it up quickly while it's still wet. The fear is you don't want to ever lift up paint from underneath and it starts to look messy. So you do need to kind of work, I would say, efficiently. I like to say it that way. It sounds less stressful than do it quickly. Okay, let's get into the basket. We're just going to do, notice the strap, the top of the basket, the bottom of the basket. Leave in between the stripes blank. So small space, so limit the amount of paint on your brush. We want it to stay nice and small so we maintain control. Okay, and light on the tip of your brush when we get in here, just so you can stay within those lines. Oh, I was gonna bring some jelly beans and eat some jelly beans while I painted this, but I forgot. Cute, cute, cute. Okay, we definitely need this to be dry before we paint in between it. And I'm just looking at everything for a minute. You look at yours too. And I think that we've actually painted. Oh no, we need our shadow. Okay, let's do our shadow. And then if this is dry, we can work right there. I already messed up my gray puddle. If you remember, I mixed it with my pink. So I'm making a nice gray puddle again. And I'm going to take that. And the only thing I care about really is that I come kind of straight back from the feet, but I want to touch the feet. Okay, I don't want any white space between them. And then I want this to be somewhat of an oval shape. I will clean my brush and dry it and take the wet tip of that brush alongside these edges. I really like for a shadow to have that softness. I don't want it to have like a really strong shape, or else we start to question what it is. Is that feeling good? I think I need a little bit more darkness over here. We're all just looking at it and see, mine got too dark now. overcorrect. Cleaned my brush, dried it, and then just went back in and kind of softened it up. Ooh, she's cute. She's a cutie. If your basket is dry, you can paint between into that zigzag. If it's not, give it a dry first. Mine's really dry, and I think I'm going to go for it. So make sure you got a puddle of the color you want to see, and that you have very little paint on your brush, because it's such a tiny, tiny little spot. Ooh, I had too much already. What will happen is that you overlap your purple, and it just looks messy. Listen, it looks fine, but just knowing that that's what could happen. Okay, another quick dry on camera again. Plug your ears again. I need to know, how unpleasant is that sound? Tolerable, or like, I hate you, Audrey? Tell me what you think. I can never do it again. It is possible for me to always edit that out. Okay, we're here. We did it. Look at you go. She's cute. Now all we're doing is we're taking whatever ink you have. You're making sure this is fully dry. And we are just going to start to go over our work. The only thing I like to consider as far as order when it comes to ink work, is there anything I might forget and accidentally go over? So in this case, I kind of want to like do the straps first, maybe. So I'll get these straps going, and you can always clean up your work when you do your ink. So if you have a way that you're like, oh, that's messy, get in there and clean it. So right here, I'm just kind of just making sense of what I've done. And then I like to do like the bottom half of a circle or a full circle. Like there's little buttons. And then I'm going to start going over my other lines. From here, it doesn't matter what order you go in, but I will say, maybe take a drink of your water, maybe relax yourself in your seat, adjust your position, make sure you're comfortable. I feel like this part can be really chill, but sometimes it's not, depending on just how you're feeling in your body. So just going in. Now we're still going to see our pencil, so if you don't want to see it, that's why you're going on top of it. And remember to turn your paper whenever it makes it a little easier for you. It'll probably give you smoother lines, I would say. A bunny tail and a goose buns. I mean, this is cute. And then I wiggled my ink a little bit again on the tail. I think that just gives a really cute little design to it. So if you've named your goose, I would like to hear the name, because that sounds funny to me. It sounds silly. Some of you are going to be like, listen, I want to paint with watercolors. I don't need to be naming a goose. Listen, I see you. That's fine. I'm a little hesitating doing it myself, but I mean, I feel like I should do it. All right, the basket is in front of that back wing, so I'm making sure I get it that way. And you can add any details you want. Now it looks like an M. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll tell you the name I was thinking of for my goose now. Marion. It was the only name. Right after I did the intro, I was like, I really should name mine. And now that looks like an M. My goose's name is Marion. I have no idea why. I don't know anyone named Marion, but I like it. Maybe you should name your goose Audrey. I don't know how you guys deal with me. I already can't wait for next week. I just think this is a fun little series. At some point, I want to do florals and landscapes and some things that are a little more serious, so you don't think I'm just the one here for the silly art, but I'm also here for the silly art. It's just fun. Okay, if you have, if you want to add your signature, I like to do it right underneath of that shadow.
And if you would like to, we would love to see your artwork. If you go to Facebook and you go to, there's a group called Audrey's Art Club. And we can see each other's geese, porch gooses, and maybe you can make a new friend there too. But share your artwork there because we can't add pictures here, or we would just do it here on YouTube. I can't wait to see you next week. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.